everybody, it's Dr. Carmen Bryan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm back. So I've completed both of my moves. I am in my new office. It's a little smaller. I haven't got it totally set up yet. So here goes. Remember the fish tank? There goes the fish tank. So I'm not completely done yet. I'm still waiting for the desk. I had a super magnanimous desk in my other office. And so now that I've downsized, I'm waiting for my desk to come in on Friday. So forgive me if it looks like I'm looking down at you guys on the camera. I mean no harm. It's just I had nowhere to put it but on a cabinet. But today I wanted to talk about a topic that many of you guys ask about all the time. And that what happens when two narcissists date or get together. And so some of you guys are looking at what you see. And so you're going by your emotions. You're looking at what you see and you're not using logic. You're not using the information that was provided to you to understand how two narcissists work together. What do two narcissists do? The common two that I always see together quite often, not all the time, but quite often, is the vulnerable narcissist and maybe like a mid-range narcissist, or it could be a greater narcissist, but usually it's a vulnerable narcissist and a narcissist, because a vulnerable narcissist receives fuel from the pain. They live for pain. So that's the way that they get fuel. So they're the ones that usually will prod the bear, poke the bear. And they like chaos, they like confusion. It's not that they like it, but they like, that's where they thrive at, is in chaos and confusion. They're the ones that usually cause the chaos and confusion. They're the ones that usually cause even timid people, not timid people, but kind of like down to earth type people that would never put their hands on anybody, cause them to strike out or say something. And they always play the victim right afterward. They start a bunch of stuff. They don't tell what they do. They don't tell about how they go on tangents and cuss out people and fight and do everything. But the moment, say for example, someone pushes them off of them or pushes them down, they become the victim. And it's so dramatic. Remember, oh my gosh, I done tumbled down the steps all the way across the street. They're dramatic. But the vulnerable narcissists, the way that they get the fuel is they have to be exposed to pain. They're always in a violent relationship, domestic violent relationship, and a lot of times they're the ones who started up. So, start up the drama. They're the ones that usually, they're the ones that start stuff, but they can't handle it when it gets finished, and they're usually the ones that's always sick. They're always, something's wrong with them. And oh my gosh, and this is going on. And so they see someone else that might be sick. So all of a sudden they're sick like that too. Or if someone has, 100-degree temperature and they have 500 broil, and you're like, you're going to die. No, I survived the plague before, so they're the ones that just the dramatic kings and queens, but usually though I see those two are most common ones I see together. But then you also have the narcissist, and let me add this too. A lot of times with the vulnerable narcissist, as a therapist, as a clinician, I usually suspect they also have borderline traits or borderline personality disorder. And remember, if you read statistics, there's a high percentage of people that do have borderline personality disorder that also have narcissistic personality disorder, two co-occurring disorders, or vice versa, narcissism and, so it doesn't matter. They're on the same scale, the dramatic personality disorder. But usually a vulnerable narcissist, I usually suspect also has issues with, have borderline personality traits or borderline personality disorder, because they have a real problem with rejection and abandonment, yet they push people away and get away from me. I hate you. You're stupid. You're this, you're that, smear campaign. And then why would you leave me? Why would you do me like that? Narcissists are like that too. But the vulnerable narcissists, you see that a lot. That push-pull, that love-hate relationship. They're confused. Their emotions are everywhere, up and down, and they're all over the place, and they're sick. And oh my gosh, you push them off of them. They fell on the floor all dramatic. And oh my gosh, I got to call the police and I get a restraining order on you. And then the next minute they're talking to you and I want to be with you again. They lure that person back in. Even the narcissist, they lure that vulnerable narcissist lures that person back in so that they can attack them again, so they can get them in trouble. And this is this push-pull relationship. Now, remember, when you have two narcissists, what is the game that they always play? When a narcissist has to get fuel, they have to get fuel, so they get supply. Supply are people. They get fuel from people. That fuel means they get an ego boost. They feel like they're so important. They feel like they're so beautiful, and normally the supply that they get is unaware of what they are or what they have. And so, that new supply, this is the best thing that I've ever had. I've never had anybody. I've never met anybody like you. Oh my gosh, you're so wonderful. So they're getting copious amounts of fuel from that. But when a narcissist is pursuing a supply, they have to put out a bunch of fuel. They have to put out a bunch of fuel to pull that new supply in. And that's why they become angry. So you see, when they want money, they put out a lot of money because their expectation, especially if they're looking for people that have money and you've got money, and it's going to help them with, like, say, the somatic narcissist, it'll help them with this imagery, with this facade that they have. And so they pursue you. So they pursue you with gifts and money and gifts and money. But everything that they do is intentional. So if they put out a bunch of money, material things, probably either one, they're running out of money, they need more money, so they need to pull you in order to sustain their lifestyle. So they'll put out a lot in order to pull you out. But that's a lot of fuel that's being emitted out to get that new supply. So here you have one narcissist putting out all this fuel. That's why they make you feel obligated to them. So now imagine they're putting it out there to another narcissist, while the supply, who may also be a narcissist, is also putting out a bunch of fuel to pull them in. So they're both doing the exact same thing. But think about it. Think about how wonderful it felt to be love bombed. So these two are love bombing each other. And so all this copious amounts of fuel that they're putting out, they're both doing it to each other. So they're both pulling on each other, but they're being fueled. So this is like this wonderful relationship. You have to remember, they don't connect with people. Everything that they do it. They have a purpose behind it. They do everything intentional. There's a reason why. Now, imagine you have two somatics. You can be a vulnerable narcissist and you can also be somatic. So here you look good, you smell good, and then she looks good and she smells good. And so this makes you look good in public, and she thinks you make her look good in public. So this is just, to them, that love bombing is just off the chain. But there comes a time where you have to remember that both of them are seeking the same thing. If one of them is getting too much attention, the other one has to do something dramatic to get the focus back on them. That's why I feel sorry for the children when the children are born, because both of them are competing for attention. So one gets more attention than the other one has to get more attention. That's why sometimes you'll notice that Munchausen disorder by proxy, where that one of the parents will make the child sick or pretend like the child is sick in order to get the attention. That's why a lot of those kids are caught up in that crossfire. And so they'll make the child sick in order to get the attention. So they'll go to that extreme where they even hurt the child to get the attention back on them. Or they have the child and they always use the child like, look at my baby. Look at my child. Look, because they're getting the attention. So one parent is getting attention, so the other parent will use the child to get the attention. So you see how bad this is? And so if competition, you have to think, they think very similar. So they always assume that people are just like them. It just so happened you have two narcissists together. They are just like each other. So they don't trust each other. There's a superficial bond as it is. There's a reason why they're together. There's a purpose of why they're together. And it's not because of love and affection. It's because of the fact that each one of them is looking for something from the other one. A lot of times in these situations, I also see a lot of domestic violence, meaning physical violence as well. One is hurting the other is hurting the other, but you hurt one and one thinks that he's gotten ahead or she's gotten ahead, then the other one comes back and they have to make sure you don't get one over on them. And competitive, don't let one get promoted. The other one has to get promoted or have to find another job so that they'll get the attention. Some promotion is announced or something, or let's say they're having a birthday party for the child, or they're celebrating an anniversary for a family member. They will do a speech. They'll do a speech, but you notice during the speech, all the attention is turned back to them. And then all the attention is turned to them instead of the guest. And then the wife or the husband or the partner of the narcissist also has to do a speech. So now it becomes this whole show of all the focus are on these two as they're competing with each other. They don't see themselves competing with each other. All they know is like, you're not going to get one ahead of me. They're not actually thinking like that. All they know is they feel like that. Now, all of us are sitting on the sidelines looking like, these two nuts, what are they doing? So narcissistic, or they're competing with each other. Or you may not know that they're a narcissist, but they're competing with each other. So it is not always what you think it is. And then both of them are prideful and arrogant and haughty. And so, of course, when they get in the public, they have to go all out to show you just how wonderful it is. So if you think you see pictures of just the narcissist that left you or you left them with a new supply, and that new supply is ignorant to what they have or what they're with, imagine two narcissists doing the exact same thing. So they're going to be extravagant. So a lot of you guys are looking like they look so happy. No, they're not. They're two miserable individuals. Even with the new supply that's not a narcissist, you have to remember that you fell for it too. And it felt good to you because you were all into your emotions. So it felt good. You know, there was something about that individual, and sometimes they're ugly. I'm just going to tell you, just keep it straightforward. Sometimes they're ugly, very unattractive individual, but there's something, it's like this animal attraction. There's just something about them that just lures you to. There's something about them that just makes you gravitate toward them. Don't have credentials, don't have a job, don't have anything, but it's just something about them that just makes you gravitate toward them. It's that narcissistic mist, that fog, that seduction, that illusion, you know, that persuasion that we talked about, those tools that they use, those weapons that they use, that persuasion, you know, they talking right. I can look past, you know, like I said, I love beautiful teeth. I love beautiful teeth. But if at least you got two in the front where you can't see the rest are missing, I'm good with that. You know, at least you got to have, you know, I love, you know, big eyes. Okay, if he got one pop eye, as long as he put a patch on it, I can work with that. She got to be at least, you know, 6 feet tall. Some of you men like tall women. She got to at least be 6 feet tall. But I mean, but if she's on prosthetic legs that make her tall, it's okay. It's all right. But see how you keep going with your standards, up and down with your standards? Stick to your standards. You know, stick to your standards. But with a narcissist, it's just something great. And then most of you guys are like, I have no idea how I ended up in this situation. It was that seduction that pulled you in. It was something. Then you look back, you're like, and that person is not even attractive. You know, that there's nothing about them, and they're actually not as smart as they portray themselves to be, because it's an illusion. So imagine two narcissists together doing the exact same thing. There's never an actual bond between the two. And let's say that they break up. It's never a bond that brings them back together. It's never love that brings them back together. It's competition. I don't want nobody to have you, and I don't want you to have nobody else. I'm much rather make you miserable, and I'm gonna make you pay. You know, so they're both doing the exact same thing. But the facade and the social media pictures, they're going to say something totally different. And a lot of you guys are caught up by what you see. It's not what you see. That's how you got caught up with the narcissist, because you went by what you saw, not the character of the person, the heart of the person. You never took the time to study this person. And a lot of things, you put a lot of red flags to the side because I'm going to make this work. Now you're coming out of it, or you're in the end of it, or you're in the middle of it, and like, I should have went with we call it the shanana. You should have went with your gut instinct. You should have went with your gut instinct. And your gut instinct, that's what detectives talk about all the time. They go with that gut instinct. Something about that gut instinct is just telling them that their intuition is telling them that something is not right. You got to go with your gut instinct. Stop going with your feelings. Stop going with how you feel and what you think. And some of you have to remember that the narcissist has the capacity to mesmerize you. There's something about them that causes you to just be mesmerized. And you don't even know why. This is not the type of person you would have dated. This is not the type of person that, you know, this is not even in my league. They're like beneath my standard. And not being arrogant when I say that, but they're just beneath my standard, you know, and all of a sudden you're caught up with it and you can't figure out how in the world did I get into this, because there's something that's mesmerizing, seductive about them. The things that they say, you know, especially to women, the things that men will say to you. And a woman, that seduction, that seduction, you know, that's how they get caught up. Men are attracted by what they see. Women are attracted by what they hear. So imagine two narcissists together doing the exact same thing. It leads to disaster. And then a lot of them are, and then I've also seen ones where the vulnerable narcissist also is the flying monkey and does the dirty work for the mid-grade narcissist, maybe an overt mid-grade narcissist, and the other narcissist, which may be the vulnerable narcissist or another narcissist, becomes a flying monkey and does all the dirty work for the narcissist. So that narcissist may threaten women, or we're just going to use that as an example because I've seen one of those as an example. You had one narcissist that is violent, threatens women, will fight a woman, will beat a woman, will do whatever, take her money, do whatever. And there's always another one, not just the flying monkey, not just the codependent, but then there's another narcissist that they're with that is willing to fight the same fight that they have. So they're even worse than the narcissist that they're with, but that narcissist will put the information into that narcissist, and they know that that narcissist will act out the plans. So it's like the henchman, the flunk boy, the flunky, and so they'll go out and they'll do the dirty work for that narcissist. So the narcissist's hands are clean, but that other narcissist will do the work, and they won't separate because that's how they feel each other. So no matter what that narcissist is doing, cheating, having children by other people, doing whatever, that female narcissist won't leave because they have a common cause. That's a vulnerable narcissist, and she needs to be hurt. Now, this is what I saw. I'm just telling you something that I saw. But she needs to, the only way she feels fueled is when she's hurt. And then she fights whatever he's done, she'll fight with him and fight these women that he's getting involved with. And so that's how she's fueled. She's fueled by the pain. She's fueled by the pain and the hurt that she's feeling. And then she fights on his behalf. So it is it's almost like you're thinking like, what in the world? Stop trying to think with your logical mind. You have to understand the disorder. Stop trying to figure it out with your logical mind. Even though we all have our own issues, we're not perfect people. But some of us are not disordered. We don't have a mental disorder. So in order to understand someone that has a mental disorder, it's hard for a person that has a logical mindset. It's not easy to wonder what it's like to be a schizophrenic, or wonder what it's like to be a narcissist, or wonder what it's like to have bipolar disorder if you've never had any of that before. So you're trying to reason with your mind, a logical mind, to try to determine what is it like, and you're trying to give the rules. Well, you shouldn't do that, and I don't understand why you do that. And I always use this as the same example. As an example, is that when you have like people that you know that have autism, or they have cognitive, that used to be called mild, moderate, and severe retardation. But now it's called cognitive and intellectual delay, mild, moderate, severe, or you may have autism from the lower scale, nonverbal, to the what we're considered the Asperger's. Now it's just the autism scale. I don't think they use Asperger's terminology anymore, but you have these different scales. And so, but how can you determine, you're looking at them and you're trying to determine why won't you act your age, but a person with cognitive delay, that's all they know. Some of them may be 40, 50 years old, but they have the mentality and, cognitive mentality of a 9-year-old. And that's as far as they ever developed. Some type of brain damage may have happened, fetal alcohol syndrome, something has happened, and they will only have the capacity of, they're stagnated. So they will only have the capacity of maybe a 9 or 10-year-old. When you guys are looking at this narcissist, and the narcissist portrays himself as an adult, chronologically, they have a job, they do all this, but what you don't understand is psychologically and emotionally, they're stunted, and wherever they were hurt in the beginning. Some of them from childhood up, but they never completely develop properly. Most of us never develop properly either, but we're still not that dysfunctional like that. And so you don't understand what it's like to have narcissistic personality disorder, and it is tormenting to them. I've watched them. I know an individual that has narcissistic personality disorder. They don't know they have it, but they're miserable, and they blame everyone. They don't take accountability for nothing. They pick up the telephone with someone, or as soon as they're in the person's present, the moment they're in their presence, as soon as they open up their mouth, they're saying something negative. They're controlling, they're negative, everything. So people don't want to be around these people. They don't want to be around because you're negative, you're hostile, you're violent, you're always argumentative, you mess up parties. We can't invite you to the family reunions and so people don't want to be bothered. If he's coming or if she's coming, I'm sorry, I'm just not coming. But then that narcissist who doesn't know they have narcissism, all they know is something is wrong. And I've heard them say something is wrong. But, you guys treat me this way, and nobody, and you guys always, but they never take responsibility of the role that they play. And for you can't explain it to them because they're not going to accept it, because it sounds too much like you're blaming them. You're blaming them, and that's what they're accustomed to. And so they will not take responsibility. So hopefully this is giving you, hopefully this is giving you some insight on what it's like for two narcissists to be together. It's not what you think it is, because they're doing the exact same thing. Just remember that. They're doing the exact same thing to each other. And so hopefully that has helped you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys, registration is coming up. Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper, has a conference coming up on the 24th of October. I will be her guest. I am not responsible for the registration. A lot of you guys have been asking me questions. That is not my platform. That is Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper's platform. And so there will be registration coming up. Is $80, and it's a 4-hour conference. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on October 24th, which is a Saturday. And it's calling all empaths. If you think you're an empath, highly sensitive individual, and she's going to stick to the spiritual aspect. She's not into the new age or anything like that. She's gonna stick to the spirit. So a lot of you guys are, you're curious about the biblical perspective, the spiritual aspect of the empath, and then I will be there to bring insight from a clinical perspective dealing with empaths. And so this is well worth your money. Some of you guys email me. Well, for some of us that don't have money and Corona has taken all our money, that's a price. You can't be mad at me. I'm sorry. I know the pandemic has done some damage. I understand that. It's not my fault, and I'm sorry, but these are paid for services, pay fee for service programs. Tell the rent people that, don't pay your rent and tell them that you always want my money. Make sure that when you go get gas, you always trying to ask me for some money. You have to invest in yourself. If you don't have it, you just don't have it. Don't make us feel bad about it. I'm sorry about that. If you don't have it, you don't have it, and maybe next time around it'll be afforded to you again. Y'all quit emailing me, getting mad at me that there's a price to it. Invest in yourself. Anything good is not always free, and so invest in yourself. But it is coming up October 24th. You guys stay tuned. Registration will be up. Her administration is working on that. And when the registration is open, I'll make sure I send out the link to you guys as well. Those of you that are looking for coaching, you're welcome to email me at drcarmenbryan@outlook.com and ask me for my coaching fees. And those of you that are in the state of Washington, I am offering counseling, online counseling only, because of the fact that I am not, the office too small to have people coming in and out, in and out. And most people, I wear a mask, yeah, but you're exposing me to you. And so I'm doing online counseling only for the state of Washington. Coaching is for outside the state of Washington. You email me and I'll provide you with some with the fees that I charge. Also, those of you that may want counseling, you can go to betterhelp.com/Dr. Carmen. And these are vetted services. So it's a vetted site. I've heard good reviews. People have really spoken highly of a lot of those clinicians and therapists that are on betterhelp.com. They're in all of your states, and they're licensed therapists that can provide you with online, telephonic counseling. Some of you guys need counseling. Some of you guys need counseling first before you seek coaching, because I do not provide counseling nor psychological assistance for those that are seeking coaching. That I will refer you. I do not even comment. I refer you over and tell you where to go. So betterhelp.com/Dr. Carmen, they'll give you a 10% discount for using my link. And just when you're looking for services, don't say, do you understand narcissistic personality disorder? Ask them the symptoms. Say, do you understand post-traumatic stress, complex post-traumatic stress? Do you understand parental alienation? Do you understand the effects of verbal and psychological abuse? Ask them sexual assault. Ask them those type of questions. Give them the definition and ask them about those type, because what it is domestic violence by someone we suspect may have narcissistic personality disorder. Also, I have other platforms as Instagram. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. All the information is right up underneath the YouTube if you need more information. And let's see, I have a book, Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. Order it. You got Christmas and the holidays coming up. Some of the people that are in the homeless shelters, like the women's shelters, the domestic violence shelter, some of them are getting the basic information about domestic violence, but not the details behind. Some of you guys didn't have a breakthrough until you understood what was happening by an individual that had narcissistic personality disorder. Once you guys got that information, you begin to grow and begin to heal. So some of these women that are in these domestic violence shelters can't afford these books. Purchase a book and give the book out. If you buy it in bulk, take it over there and donate it to them. They can even do classes off of that, off of the books. Have them read through it to see if it relates to them, because these are real stories by real women that went through what they went through. So thank you guys so much for supporting me. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. And stay tuned. I am working now that I'm back in my office. I just have to wait for my desk. So once I set up my desk, I can put my computer on the desk, because my computer is on the floor. So I'm not going to sit on the floor and type. So I'll be working on my website. I just went and looked on my website so I can transfer everything. And I'm getting a new name for my website so I can transfer. And then I'm trying to create the classes on the website, but I got to block it off so that you guys don't have the classes yet when the website comes up. That's why I haven't put the website up yet, because I'm trying to keep the classes from showing up before I'm completed with the classes. But those classes will come up, and I am starting an online a paid psychological, how am I going to put it, a psychoeducational narcissist abuse platform. I'm going to do it in stages of maybe like 4-week increments. to provide you with education. We'll start at ground zero and work our way up. So I can provide you with education on narcissist abuse and narcissism so that you guys become more aware and are able to apply these techniques. When I say techniques, apply the knowledge so that you can see. Some of you guys are still getting tricked and fooled by narcissists online. Some of you guys are still being, swindled online. Some of you guys are supporting, and then you get mad at me because I don't stop watching artists on television, but you guys are just supporting people that are on social media that are straight narcissists that are tearing your heart up, tearing you up. So hopefully this has helped you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys go and be great.